Happy Tuesday morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing well. It's Tuesday. It is the 13th. I think we're still talking about music theory, right? I think, yeah, we're going to keep going in that music theory direction. Today, the question mark was more scales and chords, right? So I wrote that as the title, scales. Or how do they meet? Where do they intersect is the question, right? So more the question is now, you've learned a lot of theory in the last couple days, and I know it's been intense. So I wanted to kind of continue our discussion with window soloing and this theory of windows in music, right? At least in the theory that I teach, right? So I go to somewhere blank. And I pick a tempo, and I do it like normal. Go to the drums, which I've had down a little bit. So let's... Super simple. Just like getting something going, right? So... All right, there we go. Got a drum beat. And what we were talking about before, and when I say scales and chords, we're going to figure out what this really means, right? So the deeper understanding is, now that we've been learning that every time we make music, we want to write a roadmap to what we're doing, right? Now, on Elektron gear, on Ableton and Move, on the OPXY, even on my Buchla, I do this on everything, every single time. And the idea that I do this every time is because in the roadmap really helps. Now, the circle of fifths is really what I recommended, and that's Adam Cadman's books. But the circle of fifths is all over the internet. The fifths go this way, the fourths go this way. This is how I always tell people to learn their keys so they know what they're playing, and so other musicians can play with you, right? Today we're going to work on a progression and how we play scales over top of that progression, right? So again, the modal behavior, or the way that we start, is in a key, right? And I loaded a piano over here, so we had a starting point. Excuse me, right? And my favorite key is always C minor or E flat major. But, yesterday we played an E minor, right? We could play in D major. The resolution there, remember what I taught you about? Minor chords are a little bit more tension, where major seems like they resolve, right? Okay, I'm going to pick A major, just because I don't know if I've used this one in a while with us, and it will challenge maybe what you think of a key, right? So A major is the key, and if I wrote it out, it would look like A, B, C sharp, D, F sharp, G sharp, and then A. So here's our chord values. Remember I taught you to do this, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Roman numerals. And that goes back to the root. And then I do like hide one. It'd be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So like I secretly in parentheses, those are your jazz chords, right? And I do that as well. So right now, if I wrote A major out, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, and the coordinates, which is what we needed coordinates, right? And now we know how to write a progression, because that's what we learned before, but let's revisit what the Roman numerals mean over here, and that is chord type. Because 1 and 2, or 1 and 4 are triangle 7 is a major 7, 5 is a dominant 7, 2 and 3 I just put minor, and 6 is our natural minor. And I taught you yesterday, hopefully for the first time, 7 is, I call it leading tone, is how I was taught on the guitar, but it usually wants to resolve to 1, and it causes a lot of tension. The diminished chord is what the 7th degree. I think it's half diminished unless you play it as a 7th, right? So chord values, and now that we're in that key, there's our root note, right? Which would be A major. Right? So now we're in lock with our move. If I want to do it in the Elektron world, you got to quantize as well. So I would say Ionian, and I would say A. And like I said, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Now that might be a little challenging for you learning your first time, but if you're getting used to keys, I told you to learn 1 or 2 very well. This one's actually really easy for your hand to play, and over time learning the chords will get easier, I promise. So if you're thinking that A is like really hard to play, well, yeah, at first it seems like it, but I would encourage you to continue trying. The formulas I wrote over here, so that's major 7, dominant 7, minors, natural minors, leading tone. I'm doing this to just get you a little more jazz acquainted, and when you go to write better chords, won't be such a surprise, right? Excuse me, second time I sneeze. All right, so now you're in your head, you're going to listen to your drum beat, and you're going to try to play a couple chords. So that's like 1, 2, 3, right? One chord, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is diminished. So 6 and 1 are a great place to resolve. That's 6, 7, root 1. So you heard me play all the chords. Now I'm going to do it on the move. Oh, octave up. A lot easier here with one hand because it's just that little triangle pattern I told you, right? All right, so now you're in that mode where your brain says, I see what Joseph's saying. He's done this over and over again for the last 3 streams to show me how he writes music, which is what I'm trying to show. I'm trying to do it kind of slow and a little more methodical so you actually see the studio, right? I need a drink real quick. I'm sorry. And now that you see what I do in the studio every day, I'm just going to write like a very simple progression, right? So, All right, so a 3, 2, 1, 6 is my first one. So here we go. So that would be 3. Let's do it. So 3, 2. And that's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, and this is the progression, right? 2 or 3, 2, 6, right? Okay, and I can't stress this enough. The windows that we play now, when I play that 3, and it takes me a second because, like, oh yeah, I'm in the key of A. I need to play. And if you learn to play the chords like as a melody now, you can hear it, right? And this is what I do with the bass line. So the bass line is actually why I'm teaching you scales with chords today, okay? Because a typical bass player now is gonna listen to the piano line and try to play to it. So I picked upright. And I like a third. I don't really like playing the fifth with the bass because I think it sounds too happy, right? So now I'm going to play a 1-3, meaning 1-3 of this chord, the 1-3 of that chord, the 1-3 of that chord. And those are the note values. The chord value is I'm playing a 3 chord, I'm playing a 2 chord, I'm playing a 6 chord. And when I play the bass, I'm going to do that same thing. So listen how I do it. 3, 2, 6. Right? And so this is how I'm going to do it. Now let's hit record. Let's see what happens. And I cheated because at the end I played the 5 then the 6. So I played a note behind it, right? All right, so 3, 2 chord, 6. 3, 2, 6, right? Now this might be the verse. Somebody might sing here. Sorry, I mess up too, right? And you get used to doing this, and this is what your practice is all about, right? So I'm going to pause for a second because you're like, well, it's not going anywhere now, but it is. We've wrote a chord progression. We understand what chords we wrote, and we use the scale to do the window solo that is our bass line. Okay, so writing this down on paper is kind of where I would say you're going to have a roadmap to write better music, right? And I always hope that on the channel that's what this kind of helps you start to put together, right? Why is he showing me to write this music all the time? Well, number one, you know what chords you're going to play. Number two, you know what key you're in. And number three, when you try to play a bass line, a solo, or a melody, now your brain can conceptually know what to play as you play the chord. Okay? So when someone's playing this 3 chord, I'm playing the scale C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and that is the Phrygian scale degree of A major. The other thing is when I play the 2 chord, I'm playing a Dorian, which is B minor, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. B is the scale, right? And then the last scale that I play is a 6 scale. And when I play that 6 scale, I play F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. I go back, right? So that is exactly the theory that we do when we combine a scale and a chord. We think from the position. If I play a 5 chord, I'm playing an E major dominant scale. And I wrote the formula for you there. And that was what I told you guys is like my favorite. It sounds like I'm a jazz player, but I'm not, right? Because normally people think that. But it's actually, and that's actually just in the key. That's how this works out automatically. And this is why I'm trying to tell you to learn your modes, because you'll sound like you can play anything, right? So that's the chord in the 5 position in the key of A major. And the scale would be E to E. Beautiful scale. I think that's I'm getting closer to your heart, or I'm getting closer to my heart. I think it's the same potential chord that song's based on, is a Dorian scale. I could be wrong. Usually I'm pretty close. My ear's pretty good like that. And that's where hopefully now you'll be able to pick that stuff out. Now we wrote 1 progression, and then yesterday I taught a trick that usually doesn't scare people. It's a minimalist technique that now when we play in the next part, I'm just going to play 1 chord. And I'm going to play that 5 chord. So I'm going to go 5 as our next progression. Super easy, right? And the reason I would tell you now to do stuff like this, everybody's in such a hurry all the time, right? And if you start embellishing a chord, so that's the chord. Now I'm going to teach you if I add a 6, the 6th degree note. See how nice that sounds? Back to the normal chord. I just added 6, right? Now what if I played sus4? Back to the 5th. And this is why you want to practice now. Pick a different part of the scale degree. Let's say a 2nd. That could be the 9 as well. But you're teaching your ear what that scale degree would sound like in that position, meaning in dominant. Some people would say that sounds like an accident, but right now, it actually sounds correct. A lot of parliament there. Bernie Worrell. So the 1-5, that's like a power chord. 1-3, 1-4, 1-2, 3. You know, to resolve, right? When you play the right chord, it'll sound like you came back home. And when you play an extension of that chord, meaning a different scale degree, 1, 2, 3, you'll play that 6th note, right? Remember I told you that has some juice in it. Back to 5, right to the root. All right, we haven't changed. I'm gonna pause. This is why I say don't be in a hurry in the studio. You know, you wonder why you get stuck in a loop and you act mad at yourself, or that you're not going anywhere. It's because you're not practicing. You're not thinking when you're in those positions, and instead of worrying about, I need to go to the next thing, I've sat in the same thing. Have you actually been thinking about what you're playing in the position you're in right at this moment? And if you were actually enjoying it and thinking a little bit deeper into the language of music, you wouldn't complain about getting stuck in a loop. You would be like, man, I practiced Dorian all morning. Do you know what I mean? There's a larger connection there, that the point of playing a loop, now you throw that out the window. Practicing is always going to be kind of a loop, right? Drumming, all I do is play the same beat. Well, guess what? How am I going to get good at playing 1 or 2 beats anyway? And then another beat, and then another, and you start adding that to your repertoire of like how you get good at playing. Playing your techno gear is the same way. It's like, make a little roadmap. I don't care if you play one chord and just jam over it. The moment you go to play the next part, another chord, I'm not joking, let's make another thing. I'm going to pick the 6th chord just because it's easy, right? Pretty much that easy, right? And now I'm going to play a bass, that's that chord. There it is. Super easy. There it is. All right, so again, in this position, I played 6, right? And our 6th position is F sharp minor. Now this might be a little tough to you because you don't normally do this, right? Practice your scale. That's the window we're in. It's how we made the bass line, how we picked the chord, right? And now you're gonna practice, you know, whatever lead instrument you're good at, right? there's the chord, your F sharp, right? Minor. It's the 6th position of A, right? Why do we play that? Because we want to get our ear used to this position, right? You might have a rapper that really likes this. You might have a girl who can sing great like this. A guy who really loves the key. His voice really sits at F sharp great. Well, here you go. You never know that unless you practice it and then you present it to musicians and say, hey, I had this idea, right, that I can make something awesome, but I got to start small. I got to have these little building blocks that make me awesome, right? So I hope this is inspiring. You know, I think I've babbled long enough, and I hopefully showed you the difference between a busier progression, like a 3-note progression, versus like a single chord that is just this position that we're going to sit at. Now, a progression can be 36 chords connected back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And the example I made the other day was like Dave Matthews and how busy all his stuff is. Very busy music. A lot of chord changes, right? There's some bands that do that. Other bands that just hang on a note, you know? So it's like you can choose how complex you want that to be, okay? But I think in the end today, what I want you to take away from it is most musicians, when they play in a place, like if I'm going to play E minor or E major dominant, I have to play that scale, E to E, in the key of A to make people believe that I'm a good soloist or that goes with the music or whatever we want to say. And I would always recommend to practice the window. When you hear a chord and you're in a key, you know it's this note to this note that chord represents. That is when a scale and a chord come together. I call that window soloing. We call that playing the mode that belongs there. The mode and the scale seem to be in the same wording, but mode is indicative to the diatonic scale. It's telling you, hey, when I'm at this scale degree, when I'm at mixolydian, I'm playing number 5, and then I play that scale accordingly. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. And hopefully everybody's having a good morning. Hopefully the channel's giving you a dense amount of education in a very small amount of time. It always seems like my education videos are more popular than when I jam, though I love when I jam and I have such a good time and I love sharing what I like. But I think content-wise, I think people really enjoy learning deeper music theory. And what we did today was the deepest, you know, this is what I do on a regular basis. The reason I'm good at it is because I practice it every day. The next thing, too, we would talk about is modal interchange, how to get out of a key, you know, and that I'm going to save in the next couple days. We'll talk about that, and I'll cover breaking the rules. And, you know, these are very high-level music classes. These are ones that are designed for my students that actually already understand software and are ready to go on a path where they want to write better music. This is typically the direction we start to go. So what you guys are getting a glimpse into is my music theory teaching and how I teach music theory, and little places that I like to dissect to teach you to get comfortable and use your ear and practice your scales and practice your key theory so that one day you can break the rules. But it's small steps. All right, well, I'm going to leave you with my rollout. F sharp minor, right? But hey, I hope everybody's having a great day. It's Tuesday. It's the 13th of May. A little soggy where I'm at, but I wanted to share this information because I feel like it's vital. Have a great day.